The evolution of the one-man army action hero is explored, from their rise in the 1980s to their modern-day reinvention, examining how societal shifts and audience expectations have influenced the portrayal of these iconic characters. The video analyzes the archetypes, the tropes, and the cultural impact of these larger-than-life figures, showcasing their enduring appeal and how they continue to captivate audiences. They were larger-than-life, unstoppable forces of justice and vengeance. From John McClane to Rambo, from Terminator to Neo, Hollywood's one-man armies dominated the action genre for decades. But where did these legends come from, and why did their reign seemingly fade away? Welcome to Yusuf Reacts. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of action heroes, those invincible warriors who carried entire movies, often on their sweat-drenched shoulders. How did they rise to power, and why aren't they the box office kings they once were? Let's break it down. The concept of the lone hero isn't new, it's been a staple of storytelling for centuries. But in Hollywood, the one-man army as we know it took shape in the 1970s and 80s, with stars like Clint Eastwood and Charles Bronson paving the way. These were men of few words and explosive actions. The 70s set the stage, but it was the 80s that truly gave us the archetype. Hyper-masculine, borderline invincible, and armed with an endless supply of bullets. With the Cold War fueling fears and tensions, action heroes became symbols of Western dominance. They weren't just fighting villains, they were fighting ideologies. The golden age of action movies. This era gave us unforgettable heroes like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Bruce Willis, and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Studios banked on their names, and it worked. Audiences flocked to theaters for muscle-bound mayhem and catchphrases like "Yippee-ki-yay." Movies like Die Hard revolutionized the genre, showing us that action heroes could be vulnerable and relatable, while films like Terminator 2 pushed the boundaries of special effects and storytelling. But with every rise comes an eventual fall. By the late 90s, cracks began to show in the one-man army formula. The landscape of Hollywood was changing. Audiences were growing tired of repetitive plots, and new genres like superhero movies and ensemble action films began to dominate. The one-man army started to feel like a relic of the past. By the early 2000s, studios were looking for fresh ways to keep audiences engaged. Franchises became the new kings of action. Instead of a lone hero, audiences were treated to teams of characters, each bringing unique skills to the table. But the one-man army isn't entirely gone. Modern films like John Wick and Nobody show us that there's still a hunger for skilled, unstoppable protagonists, just with a modern twist. These newer films focus on choreography, realism, and character depth, rather than the over-the-top spectacle of their predecessors. So, while the era of the one-man army might not dominate like it once did, its DNA lives on in today's action cinema. Thanks for joining us on this trip through action movie history. Which one-man army is your favorite, and do you think they'll ever make a full comeback? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more deep dives into film and pop culture. See you next time!